Most people struggle to astral project for one simple reason. They're trying to leave the body, while still believing they are the body. They're attempting to enter a higher state of consciousness, while clinging to the identity that can't go there. Astral projection isn't a technique. It isn't a method. It isn't something the mind performs like an exercise. It's what naturally happens when the false self dissolves and the real self is revealed. When awareness recognizes itself. And until that happens, you can follow every ritual, every breathing technique, every step-by-step guide, and nothing will happen. Because the one trying to do the technique is the one blocking the doorway. The ego cannot step into the astral, but awareness can, effortlessly. Techniques fail because they're performed by the ego. The mental character you've been conditioned to believe is you. The ego is made of thought, its memory, imagination, emotion, and identity. It's a story that never stops telling itself. Astral projection requires the exact opposite, a state in which the story dissolves, a state where the inner narrator falls silent, a state where perception exists without someone claiming ownership over it. Trying to project from the ego is like trying to leave a house while refusing to walk out of the door. You're trying to leave from inside the very thing you're meant to step out of. Projection isn't something you do, it's something that happens when the doer loses its grip. Another major misunderstanding people have, and this one stops them dead, is the idea that astral projection means leaving the body and travelling somewhere else. People imagine floating out of their body like a spirit, but here's the problem. That image is created by the ego. The ego imagines movement, shape, direction, space. It thinks in terms of here and there, inside and outside. So when you imagine yourself rolling out, rising up, or anything else, you're actually reinforcing ego identity, not dissolving it. The imagination becomes an anchor that locks you in the very perspective you're trying to transcend. Here's the truth. Awareness doesn't move. Awareness doesn't float. Awareness doesn't travel. Those are physical concepts. Awareness isn't physical. It doesn't have a location. When you project, nothing leaves anything. You don't exit your body. Your center of perception simply shifts from the ego's filtered mode to pure awareness. It feels like travel only from the ego's point of view. Just like dreams feel like travel even though you never went anywhere. Astral projection is a transition into a different state of consciousness, a different mode of awareness. You aren't escaping your body, you're slipping out of the illusion that you were ever inside it in the first place. Before projection can happen, you have to understand something fundamental. You are not the thoughts that run through your mind. You're not the emotions that rise and fall. You're not the imagination, the inner voice, the story of me. You are the awareness in which all of those things appear. Awareness is not created by the brain. It's the canvas upon which the brain draws its pictures. It's the silent, unchanging field behind every experience you've ever had. Projection happens not when the ego leaves the body, but when you stop identifying with the ego at all. When awareness finally sees itself clearly, that shift alone changes everything. Surrender works because the ego is the veil. It is the filter that compresses infinite reality into a tiny human perspective. It's the keyhole you've been peering through your entire life. When the ego relaxes, when the inner narrator gets tired and falls quiet, awareness expands beyond the keyhole, and reality reveals its true scale. That's why the astral feels more real than waking life, because waking life is viewed through the ego, and the astral is viewed through awareness. Surrender isn't giving up, it's recognizing that the controller was never real. When the illusory self stops interfering, the real self steps forward. Nothing magical, nothing forced, just truth revealed, once the noise falls away. So what does the practice actually look like? I have other detailed videos, so I'll keep this part brief. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. First, you lie down and get comfortable, not as a technique, but just so your body isn't a distraction. Close your eyes and watch. Watch the darkness, watch the static, watch whatever appears behind your eyelids. Then, let thoughts come and go. Don't fight them, don't chase them, don't judge them. If attention wanders, return gently to the observer. Not with effort, just with recognition. Ah, that was the ego again. Eventually, the ego falls asleep, and you'll feel the shift, a weightlessness, a silence, a stillness, a sense of being unanchored. And then eventually, only awareness remains. And awareness is what enters the astral. There is no step where you project. There's only a moment where the false self disappears, and the real self takes over. One moment you're in bed, the next moment you're somewhere and something else entirely. This can look different for different people. Sometimes you're looking down at your body, other times you're in an entirely different world, and other times you're in a void. And those are just a few examples. There's no right or wrong state. Your only job from there is to stay calm. Eventually you'll realize what you really are, and how hilarious it is that you ever forgot in the first place. Then you have control. Not the ego you, the real you. People often say, I'll give this a try tonight. But you don't try. Trying, again, is the ego. This isn't a quick trick or a party trick. This is a fundamental shift in consciousness. You're unlearning the greatest illusion of human life, the belief that you are the mind. Projection becomes natural when you no longer identify with the thinker, but with the awareness watching the thinker. And that shift takes patience, surrender, presence, honesty, practice, humility, and silence. It is life-changing because it's not just about projection, it's about knowing what you truly are. Once that's understood, projection stops being something you do and becomes something that happens on its own. So, if you've been struggling with astral projection, you're not failing. You're simply approaching it from the wrong identity. The ego cannot project. It cannot ascend, it cannot travel, and it cannot enter higher states. But you are not the ego. You are the silent awareness in which the ego appears. And when you rest in that awareness fully, the astral opens itself to you. Not because you did something right, but because you finally stopped being the thing that was blocking the doorway. This isn't a technique, it's a remembering. When the recognition is complete, you won't ask how to astral project. You'll realize you've been doing it your whole life without knowing. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep dreaming.